Pinpoint Weather University, sponsored by Gaston Roofing.
Hello, everyone. Pinpoint meteorologist Andrew Brightman here on Queen City News Plus with another episode of Pinpoint Weather University. So coming up here, and depending on when you're watching this, we are either just about to fall back or we've just fallen back into what is called standard time, ending what we're currently in as daylight saving time. And it's something that's always very interesting. People have lots of takes about, should we have permanent daylight saving time? Should we still fall back and spring forward? Should we maybe have permanent standard time? So with that in mind, I wanted to really find a true expert on this. And I have someone I've had a chance to talk to in the past. I'm going to be talking to again here. I have Dr. Beth Mallow from Vanderbilt University, sort of an expert on sleep. And we're going to be talking all things about falling back, springing forward, and maybe why you love the sunshine in the afternoon, the evening, but maybe it's not just the best thing overall for your sort of sleep schedule. How are you doing today, Dr. Mello?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. So coming up here in just a few days, or depending on when you are watching this, maybe we are now back into standard time. We always fall back here during the fall months. And getting into it here, what we're in right now, still currently, or just about to end, is daylight saving time. How did really daylight saving time, Dr. Mallow, really get started? Because before World War I, we basically always had what is currently standard time, what we have during the winter months. How did daylight saving time, something that so many people love so much, all that sunshine in the afternoon, evening, really come into being?
Well, during the wars, we were thinking we need to save energy for the war effort. And people at that time were pretty much thinking electric lights, right? When it gets dark out, you need to put your lights on. So the idea of moving the clocks in such a way that you wouldn't need to turn on the lights as early in the late afternoon or early evening was very appealing. Uh, Thinking that you were going to save energy. And we'll get back to that later because things have obviously changed since, I don't know, 1917 in terms of how we use electricity. But at the time, that was the thought that if we could move the clocks around, we could actually save daylight. And that's what happened during World War I. We had seasonal daylight saving time. And also during World War II, we went back after World War I to what we were doing. And then eventually, after World War II, we went back as well because people didn't really like it. It was very dark in the mornings. But then eventually in the 1960s, we went to this seasonal daylight saving time, not permanent daylight saving time, but seasonal, which is what we're on right now. So the darkest part of the year, we're on standard. But most of the year, we're actually, 8 months of the year, we're on daylight.
Yeah, and I know over time, Dr. Mallow, there's been times when when we would fall back a little bit earlier here during the fall months, when we kind of adopted this fall back and spring forward system here back during I think the 1960s with the Uniform Time Act of 1966. What was sort of the impetus? Because I think we used to fall back actually during the month of October, but we've kind of moved that back here into November. How has that sort of really changed over time?
Yeah, so there were a few things that happened with the Uniform Time Act. The Uniform Time Act is as it says, we tried to get some uniformity with what everybody was doing because different people, different places were doing different things with daylight saving time and standard time and all. So the Uniform Time Act was to make everything uniform, and two states actually exempted out and stayed on year-round standard, and that was Hawaii and Arizona. And then what happened in the 70s, around the time of the oil embargo, in 1973, Congress passed legislation to start in 1974 with the idea that we would be on permanent daylight time. And that was not very popular. There was some car accidents, some fatalities of children in Florida because it was so dark and they were waiting for the bus in the dark and all of that. We went back to the seasonal, and then I believe it was in the 90s. I'd have to look up the exact date that daylight saving time, seasonal daylight saving time was extended from, I believe it was September to November. And then we were falling back a little bit earlier, in March, we would start the seasonal daylight saving time again. It kind of got longer the time of the year that we were on a seasonal daylight.
Yeah, and I guess in the past, obviously before, we had so much modern technology, everything just automatically changes for us. It could be sometimes confusing for people. Sometimes you'd always have to, make sure that they would change their clocks on time. So, but really the input, like doing a little bit of research here, as you were kind of talking about, there was actually a period of time, not just in 1974, but during World War II, it was called wartime when they actually
Right.
had year-round daylight saving time. So really, that was purely just to just try to lower the energy usage. I'm just curious though, but people are still up during the morning as well here when it's particularly dark. I sometimes when I was struggling, I was doing a little bit of research on this. I was like, you got to the lights always got to come from somewhere here. People are working during the morning. We'll get into maybe some of the implications of year-round daylight savings time here in a moment. But why do you think that was viewed as such an effective way to save energy, even though many people are?
Yeah. I think it was a myth. And I mean, we know now when we go back and look at energy consumption in the 70s that we did not save energy when we went to year round daylight saving time in 1973, 74. And since then, it's even been when you think about using your computers 24/7 and air conditioning, especially with climate change and things getting hotter in the afternoon. So, when you move the clocks ahead, you're actually going to have potentially more heat and more need for AC. So I really think it's either a wash or possibly um, being on standard time would be better energy wise. We've certainly seen that, like Mexico went to standard time year round with the idea that it might, or they believe it saves energy. So there's that.
Interesting. So yeah, it's kind of a myth, but that myth has really gained a lot of steam. People love, from at least what I've seen online on the interwebs, Dr. Mallow, people love daylight saving time. In fact, some people want to bring it back and make wartime, as they said during World War II, permanent again. So coming up here in the next break, we're going to be talking about something that's very interesting, really got me interested in the subject, the Sunshine Protection Act that was first introduced in 2022. Coming after the break, we're going to be talking more about that, what the implications are, and maybe that's not the great idea that some of you think it is. We'll be right back with Pinpoint Weather University in one moment. Welcome back, everyone, to Pinpoint Weather University. I have Dr. Beth Mallow from Vanderbilt University Medical Center. We are talking about daylight saving time, falling back, springing forward, and also here in our next segment, we're talking about the Sunshine Protection Act. Dr. Mallow, this was first introduced here in 2022, I think. Lay it down for us. What exactly is the Sunshine Protection Act, and what was kind of lawmakers got a lot of stuff going on that they're trying to take care of. What was sort of that kind of brought some momentum to this, basically?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into all the politics, but I believe that on the Senate floor, it was a vote by acclamation, and there was some question about whether everyone had really had a chance
Yeah.
to read it and understand what they were being asked, because it is confusing sometimes when you think about which way you're going with the clocks. I mean, we all get confused sometimes. So the bottom line is the Senate voted to go ahead and make daylight saving time permanent year round. However, the House did not, and I like to think it's partly because I had testified before the House the week before. And they were very thoughtful in their, they had me, they had other people who were proponents of year-round daylight saving time, but they were really careful to look at all the evidence, including saying that they would go on and do some studies looking at energy and transportation and all of that. I spoke on the health aspect, so I'll limit my comments to that. Our concern is that you need to have morning light to wake you up, get you going. It helps when people are depressed. We give them light boxes in the morning to treat seasonal affective disorder, seasonal depression. So light is really important. And when you're on daylight saving time year round, you have very dark mornings. Now, granted, there's a trade-off. You're going to have more light in the afternoon and early evening. However, from a sleep perspective, from a health perspective, we need that morning light to align our bodies, align our brains, help our mood. We also were concerned about safety issues like kids driving to school in the dark or waiting for the bus in the dark. So, for all of those reasons, we know that sleep is improved by morning light, and having enough sleep is essential to every aspect of health, whether it be mood, heart disease, lung disease, stroke. All everything is affected by sleep. So we have come out, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, Sleep Research Society, American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics. I can go on the side of not supporting the Sunshine Protection Act and being more in favor of standard time rather than daylight saving time.
Yeah, and yeah, never thought you would have to, lobby to try to make people get the right amount of sleep here. But just kind of piggybacking on what you were talking about here, Dr. Mal, I'm pulling up a graphic here. This is what if they made daylight saving time, if the Sunshine Protection Act made it through the House and the president signed it, this is what the latest sunrise would be across portions of the United States. It's interesting. I think Ed Markey in Massachusetts, one of the primary sponsors. Up in Massachusetts, they wouldn't have in the middle of December, they wouldn't have a sunrise here until I think after 8:15 in the morning. But if you look at some parts of the country, basically the entire state of Michigan, they're not seeing a sunrise until after 9 a.m. You think of most kids these days, they're going to school, 7:30, 8 o'clock. People are getting up for work here at, 7:30 in the morning. Dr. Mal, these people are going to get up in the pitch black here across
Yeah,
many.
I just want to stop you there. I think what you meant to say is not in the summer, but in the winter.
In the
So
winter. Oh, I'm sorry.
right,
I
right.
misspoke.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
too
I just want to
excited.
make sure that was corrected for the summer is not as big of an issue. We have plenty of light, right, at both ends. But the winter
Yeah.
is can be very, very devastating. And that's why even on seasonal daylight saving time, which we have now, it's seasonal because people have recognized that the winter can be extremely dark.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to be dark when we're all trying to wake up and get our kids to school.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the latest sunrise in the wintertime. I misspoke there. I'm just so excited talking about this subject. But yeah, you see them across many portions here. This is, at the winter solstice in the middle of December. You see many places across the state of Utah not seeing a sunrise until after 8:30 in the morning at the winter solstice. And again, the entire state of Michigan, they don't have a sunrise until after not 9 a.m. Just asking your professional opinion here. Dr. Mello, what do you think the implications would be just first on maybe safety and then also how we've got millions of children in this country going to school in the morning here. What type of implications would this really mean generally if this was actually instituted as policy in this country?
Yeah, I mean, I think the safety issue is really, really key, particularly our teens who have early school start times, that they will be potentially driving to school in the dark and they're already drowsy from having to get up early, and the light isn't helping them, align their body rhythms to get more sleep. It's working against them when it's dark outside. They can't wake up. I think that to me is the biggest concern. And then firefighters, people who open grocery stores, police, even healthcare workers like me.
Yep.
You don't want your healthcare workers to be sleep deprived, right? You want them to be at their best. So I think that there's these vulnerable populations. I think also certain states. It's very interesting. I don't think this is a political issue because, for example, Indiana, in addition to Michigan, I've always thought of Indiana and Indianapolis with I think it's 9:07 a.m. is when they would have their sunrise in January.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, that's a red state, Republican state, and they're going to be really hit hard if we were to implement the Sunshine Protection Act, as well as a lot of blue states. So it's really not a political issue. It's nonpartisan. I think we're really talking about health and sleep here. And it's more geographic. And also, I mean, some people have the luxury of sleeping in
true.
till 9 in the morning, but many people don't. And certainly our kids don't.
Nope.
So, I think that we have to take all that into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it's more of a, as we've been talking about here, it's a purely educational issue here, and talking about the importance of sleep and how our body really reacts. So, coming up in the next break, we're going to be talking more about that educational aspect, what our body really needs to get the appropriate amount of sleep, and then maybe you can try to sell the people here in the Carolinas about why permanent standard time might be the best way to go here, Dr. Mallow. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. You are watching Pinpoint Weather University on Queen City News Plus. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Pinpoint Weather University. I am meteorologist Andrew Brightman. I've got a special guest with me as we get to the fall back section of fall here, as clocks are rolling back here across the country. I have Dr. Beth Mallow from Vanderbilt University Medical Center, a sleep expert, and also talking about daylight saving time and standard time. So, Dr. Mallow, last segment here, we were talking about the Sunshine Protection Act and why basically permanent daylight saving time is not best for in terms of safety, and also just what our bodies really need here. And you really being an expert in sleep and what's really needed for us to get really feeling rested. Explain to me how morning light really affects our bodies here in the morning, and how we really react to get that kind of that best feeling of waking up and having that energy to start and go through our day.
Yeah. I think having our light in the morning is really important because it aligns our bodies and brains with the outside world. It's the biggest, strongest signal to get our brains and bodies aligned with what's going on outside. And why do we want to be aligned? We want to be aligned because all of those different hormones and chemicals, brain chemicals, they need to be synchronized. They need to know what time it is when they get released so that we can be healthy. So things like mood, things like inflammation, infection, our ability to fight heart attacks and strokes, all of that is affected by having a healthy sleep pattern, and also a sleep pattern that's aligned with the outside world. And when we don't have that, it can really affect us. I mean, there are even some cancer causing genes that are activated when we're out of sync. Like a good example is shift workers. Um, Flight attendants, women flight attendants have a higher rate of breast cancer
Wow.
because their bodies are constantly going back and forth with the jet lag, right? So, in a sense, this is like jet lag when we're kind of out of sync with what the outside world is doing. We need that morning light, we need that alignment to be healthy.
No, that's fascinating, Dr. Mel. I never even realized that, just with the jet lag and that our bodies being out of sync. So, with that in mind, many people out there are like, I just hate clocks falling back and springing forward and the clocks changing. But something that I've learned here from you and just doing research about it, and what might be best for our bodies, is what no one else has taught. Like I call it the anti Sunshine Protection Act, is going to permanent standard time. There's so much people misunderstand, because I remember during this whole debate back in 2022 and in 23, people were like, "Oh, we want to be more like Arizona." Well, actually, Arizona is permanent standard time, which it was the fascinating thing. People were actually a little bit confused, but why do you think, if we weren't going to be doing the whole fallback and spring forward regime that we currently have, why, in your professional opinion, do you think maybe permanent standard time, as you were talking about what our bodies need, in kind of being in sync with light, why do you think permanent standard time might be the best? Permanent standard time might be the best way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we decide as a nation not to go back and forth anymore, um, and you really have to choose. If you're not going to move the clocks back and forth, you have to choose between permanent standard time and permanent daylight time. And I think if you are trying to decide between those two, permanent standard time really does win from a health standpoint. It may also win from an energy standpoint. I really think those studies need to be done, especially now that we talked about it's getting hotter and air conditioning needing to be run in the afternoon. That would potentially support that permanent standard time is the more economical choice. But just from a health standpoint, and you really need to keep in mind that you need that morning light to feel good. Your mood is affected by light, your heart, your lungs, your brain, your sleep. And then sleep, of course, impacts everything else we do. We need that morning light to wake up, get going, get our brains and bodies aligned with the outside world. That's just super important. And you're going to get that morning light preferentially if you're on standard time, because standard time is going to optimize morning light.
Gotcha. Just really educational and fascinating stuff, Dr. Mal. Just one last time here. This would be the consequences of permanent daylight saving time if we went year round. This is what the latest sunrise would be during the winter months here. So again, as you're talking about, we want our bodies to be in sync, both from a safety, but as you were just pointing out there, Dr. Mal, this is good for our health, actually, to be on standard time a little bit longer. So that's going to do it here for this episode of Pinpoint Weather University. Dr. Mallow, I just really want to appreciate you coming on again. It's so informative and just really great time talking to you about this issue, a little bit in the weeds here, but something fun to talk about every fall and spring. So I just want to thank you so much for your time, Dr. Mallow. And that, again, is going to do it here for Pinpoint Weather University. I am a meteorologist, Andrew Brightman, with Dr. Beth Mallow. We'll see you on the next episode, and have yourselves a great day.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.